we'll see how this works. This is the maiden voyage of my Old Town Next, and the camera is wanting to be wonky. I've got it strapped to my PFD, my life vest, and so it tends to want to keep moving back. So I'm gonna tuck it down a little bit. There, maybe that'll work. All right, I'm out at School Section Lake trying this canoe kayak hybrid. It's an Old Town Next, 13 feet long, and paddles like a kayak. Has an open cockpit like a canoe. Looks just like a canoe, only it's got adjustable seat and foot pegs. Foot pegs are down there. And so yeah, foot braces like that, they're adjustable. The seat's adjustable. I can trim it out. I might have to bring it up just a tad, but when I camp, I might have to move my seat forward a bit or put a good portion of the weight in front as well as in back, just to trim it out, because I'm a little far back, but there's a good amount of space behind me, so you know, I'm not sitting up with the bow up in the water, but it is up a little bit, which then tends to, when you paddle, make your bow go back and forth. But you know, it tracks pretty straight. I'll get her going here and then just let it go, and you can see I'm aiming for that. It's drifting to the left a little bit because of the wind, but it tracks pretty straight. You know, there's not a lot of adjusting I have to do. Whatever side I paddle on last tends to be the side I drift to. But it tracks there. I'm going fairly straight right now, no paddling, just letting it drift. It's a little bit of a wind, but otherwise it tracks pretty straight. Now my Sea Eagle, the inflatable, it was the 330, which is the cheapest model. It still handled really well, but I couldn't sit like this. Now the wind is blowing a little bit, but I couldn't sit like this without the boat spinning around on my Sea Eagle, the inflatable one. Now I will probably, I can see I'm starting to kind of drift that way. The bow is drifting that way, but I think that has to do with some of the wind that's blowing, because the wind's coming across this way and blowing me back. So it's turning me around. Now I'm just kind of drifting this way. But it is fairly stable. You know, it rocks a bit. I don't know at what I have to, I want to see what, when the water's warm and I'm close to shore, my goal is to just kind of see where is the tipping point. At what point, you know, how far on the edge can I ride this thing? I don't know. I've not done a lot of that in a canoe. You know, just recently I've been seeing YouTube videos where they're like kneeling, and they're kneeling on the side, and they got the boat up kind of like this, and they're doing all these tricks and stuff. And so I've never experienced that at all. I know in a kayak, like in whitewater stuff and more river stuff, you're doing more of the edge work. You don't do so much of that in a canoe. But I'd like to know where, you know, how far I can go. How far is too far? You know, how far can I take it before I know I'm gonna, you know, have to brace and do some stuff and learn some of those techniques. I'd like to take a course and learn paddling a little bit more, be a little bit more aggressive with my ability to paddle and be confident. I've been out, you know, on that Sea Eagle, and the first time I went to the Flowage, I've been to the Flowage now 3 times, the Turtle Flambeau Flowage, and the first time I went, it was just, you know, it's fantastic. But I started out in water like this. Wind was blowing a little bit. It was cold. It was a little cooler, and I did well. And then second or third day, I can't remember which day it was. It was the third day. Started out and it was windy. It was kind of rainy. You know, the weather was not greatest, and there was some good waves. And I just had to, I got kind of going in the direction of the wind and where the waves were going. And then I had to keep paddling. The minute I stopped paddling, the wind would spin me and turn me, and I was afraid that I was gonna, you know, get caught sideways against a wave and I was gonna dump. So I just paddled, and I would get to little islands and get to the kind of the lee side of the island where the, you know, the wind was, the island was breaking, you know, breaking the wind from blowing, and I had calm, and I could sit there and just kind of catch my breath and drink some water, and then I would go back out and then paddle, and just continually paddling. And that was a little harrowing, and it kind of gave me a little bit of a just a healthier respect for things, and a little bit more. I was a little bit more tentative when the wind's blowing and the waves are up, and so I get a little bit more hesitant, and I'd like to feel confident that I can paddle through that stuff, and know that I know how to control things and know how to, you know, just be safe, and if things start to go awry, what to do to correct it, you know, in a wave or something. So the only time it gets really bad at the Flowage, otherwise the Flowage is just like this. This is beautiful. It's very much like this. When the wind kicks up, the waves do kick up because it's not a real deep lake. So when the wind kicks up, the waves come, and then then I don't feel as confident. On this stuff I can paddle all day, and I've had days in the Flowage where it was just smooth as glass, and you just paddle and you just feel like, wow, I can just keep paddling forever and really enjoy the paddling. And then you have days that are a little bit more windy and waves, and you're just like, okay, how do I do this? And I found myself going one day, just going a little bit out of my way, and just kind of being a little bit closer to the shoreline, kind of getting the protection of shore. That's the one thing about the Flowage. There's so many little islands and stuff that, you know, if something would happen, you could be as close as that shoreline over there, or even if you're kind of in the middle of things, nothing is much further than all the way out there, which, you know, with a life vest on, you know, if you would tip over, and, you know, I would probably first see about just kind of what kind of shape the canoe is in, if it's really full, and if I can turn it over, and kind of, you know, and depending on the water temperature as well. So if the water temperature wasn't too bad, I would kind of figure try and maybe push or pull the boat and just kind of paddle and just kind of, you know, just kind of kick my legs and use the boat, take my time, you know, and I would get there. But you know, and then you get to shore and you could get into shallower, certainly cross shallower things too. Most likely you'd come across a shallow area as you get closer, because there's lots of rocks and stumps and things, and so you'd be able to, you know, then maybe right the boat and get the water out and things, and not try and do it a deep water, you know, try to get back in deep water. Because unless I have not done it, but all the people that the professionals all say, don't try that unless you've taken a course and know how to do, or you've practiced it and know how to do it. It's something I've never done. And would I like to? Yes. Don't know when I'll be able to do that, but I would like to, and know that I can do that. Now I'm gonna reach for my, see, this is the tricky part. I don't know how far I can reach, and okay, I'm close to a shoreline, so I just wanted to make sure that I could get to this and not have to. And if something would happen here, if I were, you know, that's why I'm reaching for that. I don't know, the stability. I'm not confident yet in knowing what the stability of this is. So I'm here and just kind of checking this out. So when it gets a little warmer and stuff, I will test those things out too. I don't know if I'll get a chance to test it really well before I go to the Flowage again. That's the second weekend, or almost the first week in June. It's kind of pushing on to the second week in June. But I'd really like to, if I don't get a chance to do it before I go up there, then when I go up there, depending on the temperature of the water, you know, when I get to a camp, I might just you know, push out a little ways and see where the tipping point is, and see, you know, without anything in the canoe and stuff, and just kind of get a sense of that. And then if I go in, I can just get back to my camp and dry off and put on dry clothes, and I don't have to worry about it. Again, I'd like to do that before I actually get on to do a camping trip, but you know, we'll just have to see what happens. It all depends on, it's been a cool spring, so I'm going to shut this off now. That's been a good test of this and the camera and the canoe, and I know the camera's wonky a little bit. I might have to tighten this strap up a little bit because the camera just went whoa, and I'd like to be able to film more. Anyway, I probably filmed a lot right now. There it is.